Well, hello everyone. Welcome to the second Voice Essentials live show. I'm so glad you could join us, and hello to those who have already tuned in. I've got an exciting show for you today, so I'm hoping that you can settle in with your favourite beverage and grab a good hot cup of joe, as they say in the US, and we'll have a bit of fun. Today is our second show. Now, for those of you who joined us for the first show, sorry about the second show that was scheduled for a month ago, because I had some technical issues, which basically equated to I lost a whole hard drive, around about 3 terabytes of data. Yes, I do back up, but it was in the middle of building a new backup system that the whole thing died, Murphy's Law and all of that, and so the best thing I could do was jettison the date of the last event. So here we are, second show, and really looking forward to spending the next 45 minutes or so with you. So right now in US, in New York, it's 5 p.m. on Thursday. If you're in the UK, it's 10 p.m. and on Thursday. And hello to all of our subscribers in South Africa. Currently it's 11 p.m. and there's a good reason for us talking about what time it is in South Africa, which we'll get to later. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Dr. Dan and I'm a singing voice specialist. And it's my job really just to help you realize the full potential of your singing voice. And so that's what we're hopefully going to do over the next few moments together. We'll be bit more than a few moments. It'll be about 45 minutes, and I've got a really exciting show. I've got a friend sitting waiting by. We're going to talk to her in a little bit more depth. Let me just throw to her. Oh, hang on a second, and this is where it gets all very exciting, because Daniel doesn't know what he's doing when it comes to actually. There she is. Hello, Jen. How are you?
Hi, Daniel.
So Jen's going to be with us later in the show, and that's going to be very, very cool. So we'll come back to her in a moment. Jen is a singer-songwriter, and she is fabulous, and we've worked together a little bit, and you are going to learn so much from her. So stick around for everything she's got to say a little bit later in the show. Just to remind you, we're transmitting in 480p for those of you who like to watch these things in high def. Here in Australia, we have really bad internet, and so consequently, I have to put up with really bad upload speeds, which means we've got to sort of down the streaming quality. So I hope the streaming quality is okay for everyone at 480p. As soon as we get what in Australia is called the NBN, the National Broad Network, and it comes to me here in Brisbane, Australia, which apparently isn't until 2018. We are stuck with 480p, so I hope you're cool with that. Let's also, hey, why don't you take a very quick moment to share this on social media? Let your friends know who are singers. Jump onto your social media, quickly share the link, which you'll find down in the bottom of the watch page. Go and share it onto social media, Facebook, Twitter. Let people know that the show is live, and we will get straight into it. So without any further ado, with Daniel clicking buttons, let's get into the show.
Sound check. Check 1, check 2.
Awesome. Okay, so let's first of all go to a little bit of news. So the big news at the moment, and I'm just going to jump over to my screen here, if I make sure I get everything right. I made mistakes last show, for those of you who are watching, and things didn't go great. Okay, so the first thing, last show I talked about Michael Bublé having some issues vocally and him needing to cancel his show. And as you can see here, Michael Bublé forced to cancel upcoming show as he undergoes vocal cord surgery. And you can tell this is a crappy tabloid because they've used the term cord. Generally we use the term vocal fold now, but nonetheless. Okay, so what's interesting about this, and the reason I'm repeating this will become apparent in a second, But I wanted to refresh on this whole idea of, it's interesting that Michael Bublé has had some issues, and the reason it's interesting is because we typically wouldn't expect someone like Michael, who is not singing strenuous material, to suffer vocal fatigue to the point where the voice has suffered some issues where he's going to need vocal surgery. We generally expect ones like the Beyoncés and the Whitney Houstons and the Justin Timberlakes to run into issues because they're generally exerting their voice in such a fashion that it would present some issues. What I think is really interesting, and I've made this comment many times here on the channel, is that we've got a situation, I think, in music currently that where singers are being required to do too much with their instrument, and so vocal pacing is becoming a big issue. Now, let me go to the second story of a particular blog, and I've put the links, incidentally, in the notes sections below. Now, this is a blog that I came across during the week, and this was really refreshing to read because it really identifies what I've been saying for a few years now, and that is the scientists within the research and study of sports athletes have learnt that the biology of the human being needs rest. You cannot keep demanding of yourself time in, time out without giving the voice rest. And sports scientists have learnt that bodies break down if you are demanding too much, and so they have learnt that they've got to schedule rest periods for their professional athletes, otherwise the bodies break down. And that's exactly what this what do we got here, this blog is suggesting. It's saying, hey, we've really got to have a conversation about this. And what we can take away from that here in Voice Essentials is, and I've said it to you many times, you must rest your voice. Yeah, I know how keen all of us are to, constantly sing and be, whether it be in the car or at home, and we don't want to take a rest. You must look to schedule at least one day of relative rest where you reduce your vocal loads and take that pressure off the voice and give it time to heal. You can't just keep hammering away at it and expect good results. Things don't work out that way. Now, there's another piece of news that I just want to bring to your attention, and in fact, it's part of the reason why we've got Jen on the show a little bit later, is the USQ McGregor Summer School. Now, this is a summer school that I've been involved with. This will be my 4th year. This is a really great time to get together, and I spend a week with a small group, generally about 12 to 15 singers, and we workshop technique, we workshop performance in the morning, and then the singers then join bands in the afternoon, and we do a big show at the end. If you're looking for something to do in January, then we would love for you to come and join us in a place called Toowoomba, which is about an hour and a half west of Brisbane, at the university there called University of Southern Queensland. And look, I would love to spend a week with you. So start saving your pennies. The registrations are open now, and I just wanted to bring that to your attention because it would be really cool if you and I could spend a bit of time together. Yeah, so let's, I just jump over to the comments and see if we've got any comments going. Hey, g'day Ramsey, nice to see you made it, mate. Well done. What can I do so I don't get bored with my vocal workouts? That is a good question. We might address that a little bit later. That's actually a really good topic for a whole video. I might even get to that. Hello, Frankie. Nice to see you from Argentina. And Austria. Alex, nice of you to join us. I hope you guys are all enjoying the show. Okay, so let's jump on to the nerd. Whoa, hang on a second. Let me get myself here. The nerd word. So the nerd word for today is glottis. So what is the glottis? It's a word that you may have heard before. A glottis, in fact, let me get Lenny down. I forgot to get him ready. So the glottis, this is Lenny. For those of you who have not met Lenny before, Lenny is a 2.5 times to scale adult male larynx. And the reason I'm specific to gender is because a female adult larynx is smaller and a prepubescent female male larynx smaller again. So if we turn him on his head like that, and this is looking down on the person, this space in here between the vocal folds that I'm opening there just like that, that space is called the glottis. And interestingly, it's always been interesting to me that the scientists named a space and that there's actually an imaginary line that runs down the very center of that called the glottal space. And we talk about the glottis when we're referring to the way the vocal folds attack the glottis or appropriate the glottis. So we might hear terms such as glottal attack. So the vocal folds, the way the vocal folds are attacking the glottis, or glottal stroking, where the vocal folds come together and stroke each other, and we get that in vocal fry and those sorts of things. In fact, I've got a video coming up next week that you might want to check out about vocal onsets, and we talk a lot about this word glottis when we're talking about onsets and offsets. So there you go, word of the day, the nerd word, vocal glottis. Okay, so let's talk about a vocal exercise that I think you'll all find beneficial. Let me jump across to another screen for us, and I just want to take us through a couple of things in understanding your vocal tract. Okay, so hopefully, can you all see me? You can all see me, I hope. If you can't see me, you'll have to hear me. Okay, so let me just bring this up here. So when we're talking about vocal tract shape, and you've heard me mention this a few times, and excuse the fact that I'm looking at myself and going, this is very bright, but there's we've got a massive sort of skylight up there, which I have no curtains for, and it is shining morning sun in on me. But it gives us good light for here. Your vocal tract, your sound travels along this line here, up through the larynx, out through the nasal cavity, or out through the mouth. There are two things that happen to a voice that has a closed pharyngeal space. Your sound has to travel through this space here before it continues on its on its journey. This is called your pharynx, okay? Now your pharynx, typically, for a lot of people, the pharynx is relatively lazy space, yeah? And we have a thing here called what's called the middle constrictor, and then we've got the tongue, and you can see the tongue is pictured there, yeah? And then we've got another thing called the soft palate. Now the soft palate is a collection of muscle fibers, but for a lot of people, it's a very lazy collection of muscle fibers, and as a result, that can sit quite low. Yeah? I hope you can all see that. And when we've got lazy soft palate, the sound, or for that matter, just a lazy pharynx where it's a detoned shape, what happens is we lose shape here, we lose space. Research has shown us that singers who have a really lazy space here, or more importantly, a narrow space, there's two really negative things that happen. First of all, if your sound travels up here, if it hits a tight space, it actually turns around and travels back down the trachea, and it forms what we call an acoustical overloading of your vocal folds. It's labour intensive, and it's going to fatigue your voice at a high rate. The other thing is it affects the resonance of your sound, yeah? Because we know from research that this is a primary place for the development of resonance, of colour, yeah? And so if this is really lazy and detoned, and if your soft palate's sitting really low, not only are you going to have poor resonance, the sound is actually, a lot of it's going to be directed through your nasal cavity, and this is where we run into some challenges with overly nasalized tones. And so the exercise we're about to do is actually going to be encouraging you to encourage some shape. Now, we don't want to get too carried away with this because there's only so much shaping. This is not working on a macro level, this is working on a micro level, but it is a really positive thing to become aware of shapes and spaces at the back of the throat. Let me go to another screen and I'll give you the exercise. Okay, so let me just get myself a note. So the note is, as you heard, is just a middle C. And the exercise is going to go, whoa, I'm really blowing out there, aren't I, with the light. Let me see if I can get a better angle. We might try this and go to a different camera. Okay, so we've just got to, let me just bring this around. I'll know that for next time. So the exercise is going to go like this. We're going to actually go, ya, ya. Let me ask you very quickly, what I want you to do is see if you can yawn on request. For those of you who are in London, and you've got that sort of late night yawn, we're very early here. It's still only 7:15 in the morning, so I don't have a lot of yawn in me. I've had a good night's sleep. But if you're in another part of the world and you're ready to go to bed, yawning shouldn't be too difficult. When you yawn, the soft palate actually will activate of its own accord immediately before you go into a full yawn. And it's that pre-yawn position that we want to go looking for in this activity. I'm creating a neutral jaw and I'm bending into it, so it's ya, ya. Have a listen to what happens to the sound if I don't have the shape. Ya, ya. You can hear the resonance, hopefully over the net, you can hear the resonance just drops right out of the sound. Ya, ya. Yeah? And it's all about creating shape and space. If you're interested, that's the second exercise on my exercise CD, which you can jump over to the website and have a look at. There's links in the notes sections below. And really exercise your sense of shape and awareness of space at the back of the throat by activating the pharyngeal area. I hope that's helpful to you. Let's go back over to a different camera here. And, let me just, while we're thinking about some things here, I do want to just bring your attention to, no, that's not going to do it for me. Come on. Hey, there we go. So for those of you who don't know, because some of you, I know for some of you, private tuition's a challenge, and even paying for those online courses can be a bit of a challenge as well. And so I've got a whole completely free program called 7 Days to a Better Voice. And what you can do is jump over, just go to www.7daystoabettervoice.com and join up for free. It's completely free. It's a 7-day program. Each day you get sent a new exercise with instructions, and it's all via email. And all you got to do is sign up. No, what do they say? I forget what I was going to say there. But it's completely free and no obligations. That's what I was looking for. And so make sure you take advantage of that, because it really is. I've been getting there's nearly 1,000 people that have done this program, and I'm getting a lot of really constructive, positive feedback about how it's really helping. At the end of the day, 7 days won't radically make you into a pro singer, but it certainly will give you that development push in the right direction. Let's just quickly go back to, before we bring Jen back, which I'm so looking forward to our conversation, I just want to jump over here to the comments. Marvin Soufly is watching from Mars. That is cool. I didn't realize we'd put men on Mars yet, but nice to see you, Marvin. And hello from Las Vegas. Hey, Party Central. Nice to have you along. And someone from Colombia. Hey, Herbert, nice to see you. Make sure you leave your comments, and as you do, make sure you're respectful to each other as we continue. Okay, so this is the part that I've been really looking for. We get to have a good old chat with my friend Jen in a moment when I get everything everything working. Hey Jen, nice to see you.
Good morning.
How you doing?
Yeah, really well. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good.
And so, as I explained to everyone earlier in the show, you and I work together where did you go? We work together every summer up at the USQ Summer School, and we have a blast up there, don't we?
Yeah, we have a really good time.
Yeah, and so I'm looking forward to that, to work with you again. And what your job up there is, you are the songwriting tutor. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I teach about, last year I think I had like 5 or 6 students, so it was really intensive. It was my first year. I teach songwriting. It's a skill and a craft just like anything else. And we just go through all the aspects of songwriting one by one, and by the end of the week, everyone has written a song, and those who want to perform their song get a chance to perform their songs.
Now, I do want to just point out to everyone that you are not just a songwriter. In fact, you could very well be taking the singers class. In fact, if I'm ever sick, I guess they can just get you to do both classes, couldn't they? Because you are a really highly respected session singer here in Queensland, and you've just released a brand new album. Can you tell us a little bit about that? And then I want to get to our main topic, which we'll get to in a second.
Okay, well, I am a singer. I was trained at Boston Conservatory. And I've got a new album out. I've gone down the road of singer-songwriter in the alternative country and Americana genres. So the new album was out last Friday and was produced by Shane Nicholson. And so I leave on tour tomorrow.
Tomorrow? That's cool.
Yes.
Where is the tour taking you, Jen?
All over Australia. So it's a 4-state, 15-day tour.
Awesome.
15 shows.
And Shane would be an unknown name to a lot of our audience. He's not an unknown name to me. He's quite well known here in Australia as both performer and producer. Just give us a little bit more background on the significance of his involvement in the album.
Well, Shane being involved is probably one of the largest aspects, other than writing the album. Shane was married to Casey Chambers, and they had a really big hit with their last album, Together in America. What was it called? Wreck and Ruin. It was a huge #1 hit on Americana radio for my little genre, which is niche, but it's growing, expanding audience. So Shane's just one of those people who's ridiculously skilled and multi-talented. On this last record that I just made with him, I did the singing, I did the acoustic guitar work, I played my cello on one track, and literally almost every other instrument was performed by Shane. Right. And it's really good. I'm pretty proud of it.
Well, I really want to encourage everyone. I've put your links to both your Facebook page and your YouTube channel in the notes sections below. Everyone, you have got to go and check out Jen's latest video clip. Now, Jen, you self-produced these video clips. Did you self-produce this new one?
Yes, my husband Ashley is. He's getting better and better at his.
He is getting better and better. It's fabulous. You've just done such an awesome job. And the thing about being an independent artist, isn't it, that the more skills you can add to your bow, and create that little team around you, you can produce some wonderful results.
Absolutely, with the technology boost in AV technology these days. I mean, we shoot most of our videos on our Canon 650D.
Yeah.
We sometimes borrow our Canon 70D for another one from a friend to get a double shot. We have a drone that we use.
Cool.
And it's totally affordable, and the camera quality is great. And
Yeah.
the more you can do, like you said, the more you can do in-house, you just start picking up more skills, and that is always helpful. Like, I do all of the graphics work now.
Wow.
Squarespace, we designed the website.
Yeah.
So,
look, it's fabulous, Jenna. Really, you should be so proud of the project, and everyone, you got to go and check it out, because it really is some fabulous work, and of course the voice is very good as well. So let's talk about that, because you are a songwriter, you're a singer, the classic singer-songwriter, and something I want to really nut out with you, well, in the next 5 minutes or so, is this idea of the narrative. It's, I've got a little saying here on the channel, and in my studio, that it is singing is not about perfect notes. Singing is about communication. And the moment you lose sight of that, you're going to be boring, every day of the week. And I've got a further saying to that, which is about, we can't sanitize the voice. The moment we sanitize the voice and it's all pristine and perfect, and I think we lose the humanness of it, and as a result, we can't connect to the narrative. What can you, talk to us about, as a songwriter that then sings and delivers her own material? Talk to us how important to you, this idea of narrative is.
I would say narrative is the most important thing. There are a lot of great songwriters who can write great songs, but then when you see them perform live, they're not getting their message across as well as they could, connecting the vocal to the narrative. It's something that I was taught how to do in my musical theater school at Boston Conservatory. So I started by interpreting other people's work and figuring out exactly what people were trying to say through their lyrics, through their melody. You have all these things at your disposal that are elements of communication. So rhythm and melody and lyrics and harmony, these are all elements of communicating what you're trying to say, your narrative. And when I sit down and write a tune, I'm considering point of view at all times. It's probably the most important thing, because if you mix your point of view, you confuse your audience, and as soon as your audience is confused, they're no longer in the palm of your hand, which is what you need to do in every song. So every time you perform a new song, you want to be suspending their reality so that they're not in the theater or in the club, or they're with you, traveling with you down the road of the song.
Absolutely. I often describe it to my clients as we are painting pictures for people that they then can impression themselves into. That, I don't know if you ever saw that movie, the Robin Williams movie, What Dreams May Come.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites.
Oh, me too. And that moment where he's in the painting and he pulls up the flower, I think it was a poppy, I can't remember, and he squeezes it, and I get the try to get in the camera shot there, and the paint just runs down his hand. That's what I want when I'm performing. That's what I want people to be able to do, to be able to feel the texture of what I'm talking about. How do you? What's the main tool that you use, do you think, that enables you? Because I've seen you perform and you're able to do this. What are you really looking to? What do you employ in the moment to make that connection?
Well, if I'm performing in the moment, I am really trying to, I guess number one for performance, tone is great. It's great to have great vocal tone. It's great to have all these other elements, but phrasing would be probably the most important element. So I do my homework before, even if it's my own song. I want to make sure that the phrasing is going along with the lyric. And for me, like when I sit down to compose, I'm considering elements of imagery. I'm considering elements of onomatopoeic elements. I use them all the time.
Now that's a big word. Do you want to explain to us what onomatopoeia means for those of us who may not, be as around the English language as you are?
Well, okay, so all these literary elements that we speak of in literary terms, most of them can be applied to songwriting. Onomatopoeia is when a word sounds like what it's describing. The actual word has a sound like pop or zap.
Okay.
That's onomatopoeia in a really simplistic term. I like to use elements of poetry to convey a lyric, and they are, there's so many things at our disposal. Alliteration, personification, and alliteration's really great. That's when like Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Singing that.
Can you just do that again 3 times really quickly?
It's actually the worst example of alliteration there is, but because it's not singable.
Isn't it terrible when the worst examples always come first and foremost to your mind?
It's the first thing that comes to your head. Alliteration is using the same couple of letters at the front of something. Like I have a song called Savannah, and one of the lines is where Mr. Mercer met his muse. Johnny Mercer's from Savannah, and I talk about Johnny Mercer as a songwriter in the song, and it's really easily sung. And that's something, as a songwriter, you're trying to make things that folks can sing easily, and alliteration is really a great thing for that. You have to be subtle with it, though. You don't want to make everything otherwise you sound a little
Yes. No, you wouldn't. Well, you wouldn't want to make it all.
Oh, that's a great face.
Look, we're kind of out of time, but I'm very much hoping we can get you back in the future and have a longer chat, because you have got so much to offer, and I know the students that participate with you up at the summer school just rave about your class. They just there's so much richness and expertise, experience. There is, unfortunately, on YouTube, for example, there is a lot of people out there hanging a shingle, telling everyone they know what they're doing, but you are the real deal, Jen Mize, and you've just got so much to offer. So thank you very much for coming on to the show. I wonder if you might want to stick around for a few more moments, because we're going to do the live song reviews in a second, and I'd love to get your feedback on the 2 singers that we've got lined up for today. But before we do, let me just jump across to, we've got some good comments going on here. And don't forget, there's a Q&A. We're going to do a quick Q&A a little bit later on, everyone. And so make sure you leave. If you've got particular questions that you'd like answered, and Jen and I can jump in and bounce off each other and talk about some of the questions that you're asking. There's a lot of people here from New York and Germany. G'day everyone there. And who is it? Is it Max Powers from Germany? G'day. Where have we got? Louisiana. Mammonis. I'm shocking at saying names. Nice to see you from Louisiana. And Liverpool, UK. Hey there, Phil. Nice to see you. Yeah, so if you've got questions, now is the time to start leaving them in the comment section, because as you know, with these live YouTube shows, the comments are quite a little bit further behind the stream, the way the whole technology things work. So now's the time to leave your questions so that they're there ready to go for our discussion a little bit later. But for now, let's just quickly jump over. Where am I going here? I'm going to this. I'm back and it's just me. It is. Hey, so let's, we've got 2 song reviews up today. And I mentioned earlier that we've got the South Africa time slot, which is about 11 p.m. And that's because our first song review is actually coming from one of our subscribers here on Voice Essentials, Bronwyn King. She's a good friend and she's been subscribed to the channel for a little while. And she sent her video in. And this is really important. You can participate in this part of the show. If you've got, if you want to have your performance reviewed here on YouTube as a part of the show, I would love for you to just send me an email, live reviews at desjarts.com.au. The email is in the notes sections below, and we will review your, well, as long as we don't have too many, we don't have to select, but if you can send your live video through to us, I'll send you the information and everything, and you can have your song and your voice reviewed live here on the channel. So let's have a listen to, in fact, let me just do this. Let's have a listen to our first song from Bronwyn. Now this is called, okay, what is it? This is Close Your Eyes, and this is the second verse and second chorus.
When I look back on the times you tried to hide inside your delicate mind. In the end, I'm just the same as you. And it's alright, just stay by my side, and I will hold on and never let go. You're right beside me, so just close your eyes and never let go. You're all that I need, so just close your eyes.
Sure, I hit the right buttons here. Hey, really nice job, Bronwyn. And thank you very much. You're actually the first person to send their video in, so you have been exceptionally brave, and I want to say thanks for doing that. And I love the way you've shot the video. I think you've done a really nice job of not just, you know, standing in front of a camera, although if that's all you've got, then you can do that as well. And there was a moment there where I really enjoyed your ooh vowel. There was a really nice timbre to the ooh. Let me just bring in Jen, and we can have a discussion. What were you hearing there, Jen? I've got some constructive criticism or feedback to give, but what were you hearing?
I was hearing a lot of really good air coming through the sound in order to go with that lyric. It's like a softness,
yeah, to
the vocal tone, which was communicating the lyric for me. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we need to be, and in fact that's my first comment here is, I think we do need to be careful with the aspirate tone. It's something that, in fact, we just did a video here on the channel a few weeks back about breathy tone. And for those of you who haven't watched the video, just a very quick rebrief. Breath is so good for communicating emotion. We use it all the time, you know, for sighs and the whole, you know, just in spoken voice we use breathiness all the time. And it is such a great tool for communicating emotion. We have to be careful though in not overusing it, because it can really lead to wear and tear of the voice. And so go looking, and Bronwyn, I'd encourage you to go looking for something just a little bit less breathy, where we get a little bit more of an ambient tone. So breathiness would and you know, clean tone would be So if you can go looking for something in between there, and my camera's just gone dark, I don't know why. And yeah, so that would be the first thing I'd go looking for. But I agree with you, Jen. There is some really pretty breathiness there. The other thing that I thought too was there were times when the vocal tract, and this actually harkens back to the exercise we did earlier in the show, where the vocal tract just wanted to collapse a little bit. You know, we kind of lost, there was the tone throughout. There was these really nice moments, for example, as I said, with the ooh thou, but the tone just collapsed. And I think it was the vocal tract just getting through certain parts of the phrase and just collapsing a little. What did you think, Jen?
Yeah, it's one of those things. I tend to use the same thing that they use in yoga sometimes, the pranayama, the bumblebee breath,
Yeah.
to open up that space that you were talking about earlier. That's one of the exercises where, you know, that same thing right before you yawn.
Yeah.
It's the same thing that they're talking about in yoga and meditation. It's that bumblebee breath where it's this open resonance.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just a different way to communicate the exact same thing that you're talking about.
Absolutely. There are many ways to skin this cat, yeah? Well,
Yeah.
I hope no one's offended by skinning cats. I love cats. I do. My cat's sitting over on the couch. Finally, and the one final comment I'd make, Bronwyn, is and this harkens back to the conversation we were having with Jen. Think about the narrative a little bit more. You know, what is it that the song is saying? And really analyze the lyric. I'm going to turn over to the expert in this field. Jen, what did you think about her sense of connection with the lyric?
I think we're on the right track, but I think there's a little bit more digging that Bronwyn can do, especially when it comes to phrasing. I think phrasing is our biggest tool to analyze.
Yeah.
When you're analyzing the lyric, where you're going to take your breath, how you're going to phrase, you know, every single phrase.
Yeah.
As a singer, I would go through and make sure I'm phrasing things to the best of my ability.
Yeah.
Where I'm breathing, if I'm connecting notes, how I'm doing that. Like it is very technical.
Yes.
And once you do it for a long time, it becomes a secondary
It's
thing.
natural. Yeah.
It becomes something that you don't have to put so much effort into.
Yes.
But initially, it's definitely something we all need to be doing. And phrasing is just it's communicating through vocal like we would through talking.
Absolutely. Yeah. Fabulous. Let's have a listen to our second. I hope that's helpful for you, Bronwyn, and I'm sure you're going to be able to put a lot of that into practice over the coming weeks and months. The second artist we're going to listen to is actually one of my own students, and this is a video from back at the end of last year. So we've actually already worked on a lot of the stuff that we're going to talk about. This is the Sam Smith piece, Lay Me Down, from our showcase from last year. And this is Trish Raraga. Let's have a listen to it, and then we can talk about it.
I believe that one day I will be where I was, right there, right next to you. Days just seem so dark, the moon and the stars are nothing without you. Your touch, your skin, where do I begin? No words can explain the way I'm missing you tonight. This emptiness, this hole that I'm inside, these tears, they tell their own story. Told me not to cry when you were gone, but this feeling's overwhelming. It's much too strong. Can I lay by your side next to you? And make sure you're alright. I'll take care of you. I don't want to be here if I can't be with you tonight.
I'm just gonna say I'm just turning I've got an echo in my ear there for a second. I love Trisha's voice. I think it's got a beautiful, unique quality, and yeah. So I'll put that out there to start with. And as I said, she is my student. So that being said, I think, and these are the things that we've worked on post that performance. I kind of felt that she kind of at times overused the glottal stroking at the beginning. It was just a little bit too much, too often. That's me being picky, because, you know, she could argue, which she didn't at the time, that she was making a stylistic choice, and that would be a fair argument. But for my mind, I thought there was just a little bit too much, and I think we've got to be careful with that. What are your thoughts, Jen?
Yeah, I mean, I do believe in glottal stroking as a technique to color
Absolutely
what you're singing about.
Yeah.
But like you said, every technique can be used too much. You want to be, it loses its power if you use it more regularly than not.
Yeah.
What I was thinking is, in that initial section, that verse setup, that was a bunch of words on the same tone, basically on the same note. That for me is where you really need to bring in your pronunciation and diction, because when you get to the money chorus where that's all set up,
Yeah.
we need all that information. It's like the context.
Yeah.
We need to know exactly what your words are. So I think she could go a little further on clarifying her lyric there, and like you said, a little less glottal stroking through that area would clarify those lyrics dramatically.
I think the other thing,
still use it, but
I think the other thing that would really help to position the voice in exactly what you're saying is the breath management wasn't where it needed to be, and we have done a lot of work together with Trish in getting better sense of abdominal release, so that she has enough air then to feel what are long phrases, yeah? Because if you don't have the air, you're going to struggle to shape, because everything's going to be locking down to try and ration the air. Whereas if she's got the air to actually, you know, to have clean, clear pronunciation, less stroking at the beginning, I think you're absolutely right. It does. Again, it all comes back to narrative, isn't it? Everything we're talking about here is about positioning for the narrative.
Because obviously Trish has such beautiful tone. When she gets to the chorus,
yeah,
we're feeling with her.
Yes.
If she sets up that verse a little better, we will feel that even more, like exponentially more.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, there is a beautiful tone there, and she's actually a pleasure to have in the studio. It's she's got such a lovely voice, and she's a lovely person. Okay, so there you go. That's the live reviews. And if you want to participate, you can have your stuff reviewed here as a part of the live show. We do the live show once a month, the first Friday, or in Australia, the first Friday of every month. And I would love for you to be involved in this. So make sure you check out the details in the description of the video below, and look into how you can participate and how we can review your video. So let's now go across to the Q&A. I'm sure we've got plenty of questions sitting over there, Jen, that are just waiting to be answered with wisdom and expertise. Let's go. Okay, so let me just jump up here with some questions that we've got, and I'm just going to go quickly through. It has been so good to have so many people making questions and comments, and thank you for participating, everyone. There's someone here, Max Powers, says you have lovely hair color.
It's my natural hair color.
Hey!
I'm growing out my old lady gray. I started graying at like 16, so yeah.
Everyone does love the color of your hair, Jen. It's true. Okay, how do you know when you're singing with a strong voice? What does it feel like? Jen, what does it feel like to you to be singing with a strong voice?
I guess for me, you know, if you want strength in your sound, the most important thing is breathing. The more air you can collect, the stronger you can feel.
Yeah.
The longer phrases, the more you can connect that to the lyric. It's like having more tools in your tool belt. So if you are trying to deliver something powerful, a powerful narrative, breath is the most important thing.
Yeah, awesome.
Absolutely.
I think a strong voice. Well, it's hard to sort of answer it, isn't it? Because we could define that as so many different things, couldn't we? What does a strong
Absolutely.
voice sound like or feel like? A strong voice, from my mind, and this is probably coming more at the angle from a singing voice specialist, where I'm working with the health and the technique of people's voices all the time. It's a voice that has stamina. It's a voice that doesn't, quickly deteriorate as you're singing through a song. A good, strong, healthy voice should have good fatigue rates, in the sense that it's not getting 3 or 4 songs in and just starting to, and the range is starting to die off. And that should be what a good, strong voice should feel like. And we should always be orientating back to a clean tone. Yeah? These things like breathiness and glottal stroking that we've been talking about today, they ultimately should be choices, not habits. The moment these things become habits, you're very close to the edge of a vocal health cliff. And so you always want to orientate to a clean, habitual tone that you are then capable of making really, great choices on top of. And that's what a good, strong voice should sound like. Let me see if we can... Here's one from Mamonanus, the name I can't say. There seems like there's so many different little things, places and techniques I have to be aware of at once. Any way to simplify singing? There is a lot to think about, and I think the group of musicians that are so known for their spontaneity, jazz musicians, are actually the very same musicians that probably drill their scales more than anyone else. And it's out of that automation, that drilling for hours on end, that comes the spontaneity. You've got to get the cart before the horse. And so the way to simplify your singing, the road to simplify your singing, is actually to do the hard yards of drilling your technique and spending doing the 10,000 hours that we often talk about here on YouTube, on Voice Essentials. It's actually spending that time doing the hours of drilling your voice, so that it does become easy. And it's just like Jen said earlier, these things ultimately they will automate. And so I hope that's helpful. Let me just jump down here and see if I can see some other questions. Hey, Brian, Brian's just written, I'm truly blessed. I'm auditioning next week. Thank you, Dr. Dan. God bless you for your services. You're welcome, Brian. I hope the audition goes well. Suggest some breathing exercises. Well, there are some, this is from Krishna. There are some great breathing exercises. You can find them on the YouTube, some exercises that I've got on the YouTube channel, and you can jump over and look at some videos. Jen, without notice, have you got a breathing exercise that you like to use?
Actually, my favorite thing to do to get folks to concentrate on figuring out how not to breathe high, and to, I'm sure your students, I'm sure you've explained how, the diaphragm works, and it's pushing out your internal organs and giving you more room for lung expansion in the lower part of your lungs.
Yes.
My favorite thing to get people to connect that in a physiological way,
awesome,
is to get them to stand and bend over at the waist. Wrap their arms around your back at the bottom of your lungs and feel that open up.
Yeah, just, right.
Like, I don't want to do it. It's a bit silly. But like, give yourself a bear hug.
Yeah, okay.
Bend over 90 degrees at the waist.
Yeah. And bend over.
Feel your lungs expanding in
the
bottom
through those floating ribs. Is that where you're talking about?
Exactly.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And once you connect that physically, you can feel where that is.
Yeah.
And that's for like I was trained as in opera and musical theater, but the thing that trained me the most with lung capacity, which is my ability to breathe, my ability to hold longer phrases, was jazz,
Cool.
because I was a crooner.
Yeah.
So, and to croon, you have to have really long phrases. And now as an Americana artist, I just have this wealth of breath that I only use maybe 70% of it, but it's all there still.
Yeah.
And like you were saying about the 10,000 hours, it's one of these myths of singing. People assume that if you're a good singer, you just woke up one day and you were that way. And it's, they're like, oh, you're so talented. And although they mean that as a compliment, talent is the little spark at the beginning. Skill is the thing you develop and the time you put in. And there would be no way for me to shortcut that.
Ladies and gentlemen, you just heard the best part of today's show right there. That is so true. In a world of quick fix and TV talent shows that suggest that people go from zero to hero in 3 months, it's all fake. It's not true. And it weighs us down, doesn't it, with unrealistic expectations that just simply can't be fulfilled. Love it, Jen. Thank you. One last question, and there are more questions here, but we just can't get to all of them because we're about to wrap up. One last question from Javid. He writes, can singing high notes, I'm paraphrasing here, can singing high notes powerfully, can you sing high notes powerfully with low volume? Yes, you can. But powerfully, I would caveat that by saying powerfully means that you need to have strengthened your upper register. And a lot of people, when they're thinking about their upper register, they think it's supposed to be light and breathy and airy. That's not a strong upper register. Remember that the muscles that we're looking for a balanced voice, yeah? A voice that sings right through its registers. There are 4 registers in the voice. Again, you can check out the YouTube channel for more information about registration. But very quickly, we don't want the voice to be bottom heavy. Equally, we don't want it to be top heavy. Now, as a contemporary singer, we often spend a lot of our time in our lower register with big full-bodied notes, especially if you're a pop singer, a rock singer, or contemporary music theatre. But equally, that doesn't mean we ever want to become so dominated by our lower register that our upper register is weak and insipid. You want to be able to strengthen your muscles for your upper register so that you're able to sing high notes with low volume that are even and consistent and have just a really wonderful balance to them. It all comes back to what Jen and I have been saying throughout today's show, and that is this singing thing is about balance across the board. Yeah, equipping yourself with the tools so that you are equipped with choice. And it's about creating choice for your voice. I should coin that. Choice for your voice, and ensuring that you're able to communicate, because again, it all comes back to the communication. You want to be able to communicate the narrative and the lyric with a real sense of connection. And the only way you're going to do that is to have multiple tools at your disposal so that you can do that with clarity. I'll let you have the final word on that, Jen, and then we're going to have to wrap up.
Oh, well, I mean, I would say a whole lot more, but I think you've analyzed that just perfectly. Yeah, it's the same as I would say when songwriting. We talk about skills as tools in your tool belt. And as long as you have a tool belt, if you were a carpenter and you went to go build a house and you only had a hammer, it would be a pretty lame house. So you need those multiple tools. That way you can come to any song, and no matter what the lyric requires, no matter what the melody requires, no matter how the song moves, the phrasing, you have those things in your tool belt, and you can deliver a convincing, moving performance attached to the song.
Awesome. Yeah. Jen, it has been so good to have you on the show, and I hope we can do this again with you in the new year, because this has been a lot of fun. You've just contributed so wonderfully to our show. Let me just jump over to here, and look, I hope you've enjoyed the show today, everyone. As I said, we do this once a month, the first Friday of every month. And look, if this is your first time here to Voice Essentials, I would love for you to subscribe to the channel and join this ever-growing community. We're up to nearly 7,000, well, we're just past 7,200 subscribers. In the scheme of things, we're a small channel, but we're a great community of singers. And we're all looking to develop our voice and improve our sound, and we're doing it together. And you know, I learned so much from the comments that are left on the videos, and so I'd love you to jump over to the channel and subscribe if you haven't already. Make sure you hit like on the video today. I thank you for all of your comments and your engagement and your respect of each other in that area. And I'd love you to share the video. Let people know that we do this because the more people can participate, the richer the content. And don't forget, if you want to participate, you can with the live song reviews. I'd love to have you join us here every month. The next show is Friday, the 4th of November. And so I really hope you will join us then and schedule your diary so that you can have we can have you join us. And we'll have another exciting guest, and we'll talk technique, we'll talk vocal news. Until I see you in the next Voice Essentials video, I'm Dr. Dan. Sing well.